So now we come to stanza number 104 and half of 5, which we actually talked a little bit but didn't go through properly. It's about, the mind is unborn. We talk a lot about unborn nature of things. So, in the true sense, actually, every phenomenon, but here we are actually talking about mind, but every phenomena is unborn, they say. Unborn means we think that something that was not there, then it was born, or it happened, it was created, it arose, it came, and then it remained for whatever time, and then it dissolved. So we think that everything is like that, including our mind. It came up, it was not there, then it came up, then it existed, then it dissolved. Or then another came up. But if you look deeply, it says nothing really came up, nothing arose. In a true way, it seemed like arising, but it was just like a dream, object in the dream, experience of the dream. Experience of a dream, you can't say, when it came up, from what it came up, and where it existed, and where it went, or how it kind of dissolved. It was just an illusion. So you have the experience, you see it, but it never existed. It never existed because it was never something that was created from anything. It was just an illusion. So in the same way, if consciousness precedes the cognized object, our consciousness, our mind is also like that. Now, if you look from the, from a logical or the reasoning point of view, so we have our consciousness, we have our mind, because we have an object that we are conscious of, cognized object. We know something, or we see something. For instance, if we talk about the seeing consciousness, then there's something, the object to see. Therefore, we see. If there's no object to see, then we can not have the seeing consciousness. Now, if you look, that consciousness of seeing, or that consciousness, does it exist before the seeing the object? Does the consciousness of seeing, does it arise, or is it there before the object that you see, the form. So if that is the case, then, how does seeing consciousness arise without something to see? When there is nothing to see, when before you have seen, you can't have the seeing consciousness because there's nothing to see. So therefore, the seeing consciousness cannot be there before seeing the object, a cognized object. Because with regard to what does it arise? That seeing has to have something to see and then see. So the seeing consciousness cannot be there before something to see, because if the seeing, seeing is there before what is seen, then, what is the need of the object seeing? You must be seeing it all the time, or you are not seeing at all, or, the seeing object, seeing consciousness has to be connected with object of seeing, form. And if the seeing consciousness is before seeing, then, it's not correct, because you can't see something before you have anything to see, or there's an object of seeing, or activity of seeing. If consciousness arises at the same time as its object, again regarding what does it arise? Because, the object of seeing, the form, and the consciousness and the object of seeing or act of seeing arise simultaneously. It cannot be, because, first there must be something to see and then you see. There must be an object of seeing and then you see. You cannot have seeing and, in a very kind of subtle way, then seeing cannot happen before there's something to see. Because if there is seeing, moment of seeing, and object of seeing is completely at the same time, it is not possible, because, first your eye has to contact, and then mind has to say, yes, this is what I see. And if that is not there, it cannot be consciousness, because at the same time as your eye contact the object, your mind cannot say, this is what I see, because, first, it has to, your mind has to be informed about what you see, or that you have seen. So this moment of seeing has to be after, your eye contacts the object. Because again, regarding what does it arise? It cannot, there must be something to see, there's something, some information. If consciousness comes later than its object, if the consciousness comes after the object, once again, from what does it arise? Because that moment, the moment your eye contacts the object, then, that moment of consciousness is gone. When the next moment comes where your mind says, I've seen the object. Actually, when you are looking at the object, we think that I am looking at the object, so therefore my consciousness happening as I see it. But actually, if you look at the moment by moment, it cannot be the same moment. It has to, eye contact, the eye, like a photograph, eye sees the object, and then this gives an information kind of to the mind, and the mind says, I see it. And when at the moment you are saying that I see it, that time, the moment of seeing, the first moment of seeing has gone. And now you are at the moment you are looking at another moment of, because everything is changing, Everything is changing, everything is momentary, and it never lasts. This moment is this moment, and next moment is next moment. Everything, you think this is the same thing, but it's not the same thing. You look at a river, and you think that I am looking at the same river, but actually, the moment, the first moment of your looking at the river, next moment is not the same river, because the whole volume of water that you saw in the first instant has gone, and so now a new kind of volume of water has come. So you actually you never really see what exactly is happening at that very moment, because that the first moment of seeing it cannot be with the understanding or with the thought or the mind saying that I saw this when I saw this. So therefore, all our experiences are like that. All our experiences are like that. So therefore, it's all like there is no true, there is no real meeting of that object and that same consciousness. Any consciousness that arises is actually about the image that was left, or the remembrance from the last moment. So therefore, in a true sense, the mind, we think that there is a mind which actually experiences things. It's never really truly perceiving. All our five senses are not really truly perceiving the object of that time. It's all in the mind. So therefore, mind itself is, it's very momentary. One moment, consciousness, second moment of consciousness, third moment of consciousness arising, and also, it never really, it comes like it is coming from this and this and there is, but then, it doesn't have a true existence, so it cannot really come from anything. It doesn't exist or remain. There's nothing that can remain, or nothing that can remain with or at, and there's nothing that that goes or that disappears, or not disappears, but that is to be dissolved. There is nothing, because there is no existence. There is nothing which remains. So therefore, nothing coming. So all these are like a dream and illusion. So therefore, same is like the body, the feeling, the mind, all are in this way. It's emptiness in its nature, because it's interdependent, because it's dependent, because it's relative. It's relatively there, only relatively there. It does not truly exist. So therefore, there's no real thing that exists or remains. So when there is nothing remains, there's nothing to be born or to create it or arises, and therefore nothing really that dissolves also. So therefore, its nature is, at the best, could be explained as emptiness. It could also be called dependent or interdependent, or it could be called relative. So this is the, about the mindfulness of the mind, that if we understand, if we see that our mind is also like, our mind is like that, you can't say it's not there. It continues to be, continues to manifest, but it is emptiness in its nature. And there's only this knowing kind of luminosity or clarity there, so that's why you say the nature of the mind is emptiness, clarity, or luminous, and manifesting, continuously manifesting. It doesn't stop manifesting, but there is nothing truly there. And because there's nothing truly existing, that's why it is manifesting. If there was something truly existing, it could not manifest so much. We can have all kind of dreams, all kind of dreams. Any dreams we can have, there is no, because there is no reality there. If it was something real, then it cannot be that flexible. And then this leads to the mindfulness as the phenomena. And the last two lines of 105 is that, thus the origin of all phenomena exceeds the reach of understanding. So let me first read the Tibetan. Hija lingar hiyo na teni chela minisi. Hiyo hija lenji na teni chela minisi. Wente hiji hiyo na tesi hipa konli says. Then the last two lines is Tetra chuno tamje jeshewa topan jamayo. So So this, this logic or reasoning that we talked about, the awareness, the cause and the result, or there cannot be the cause first and then the result. There cannot be result first and then the cause. There cannot be cause and result at the same time. If we understand this deeply, then we know that in true sense, no phenomena, everything, all the phenomena have no true existence or true arising, true birth or true creation. There's no happening. And because they're happening, because there's no happening, or there's no growth, or there's no birth, because there's no existence. And when there is no existence, there can't be birth. And if there is no birth and no existence, there can't be, cessation. So therefore, all phenomena are like that, This we will discuss later, But, we think that first there is seed, and then because there is seed, there is the fruit. But at the time of the seed, there is the fruit, and because at the time of the seed, the fruit is never there, and at the time of fruit, the seed never there, and it never meet anywhere in between. So how can seed create the fruit when it never came together? It never meets. Sorry. So the seed, or the cause and the result, the cause cannot be before the result. Then they don't meet. But they cannot be together also, because the cause and result, if they is together, then it's not cause, because result has to come after the cause, and then you can't say it is cause, and it never happens actually. The cause has to change, has to transform, has to disintegrate to give rise to the result. And so therefore, and the result cannot be before the cause, of course, because then it is not the cause. So, but then it seems like there is cause and there is a result, and then everything arises and then remains and then ceases. But if you look deeply, this is all like, it doesn't really truly exist like that, And it's only relatively like that, and it is, so therefore, everything, all the phenomena are like that. It's like illusion. It's like rainbow. It's like a dream. So that's the nature of all the phenomena. So when you understand the nature of all the phenomena, which is not so easy because our mind is so, so much, we cannot, it's fixated, our mind is so fixated, and so much, what can you say, in a very only trained in a certain way of saying. So anyway, so I think I have to stop here, and so this was kind of the 4 mindfulness on the from the point of view of the vipassana or insight, and then we go. So this is the end of stanza number 4 and 5. So thank you.